One of the main complaints that I have regarding Venezuela is the significant prices that most internationals have to deal with within the country compared to their expectations. This is Akinti, and today we are going to discuss why.
Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
So, one of the main issues regarding Venezuela is, like I mentioned, the prices are way higher than most people expect here in the country regarding, of course, cost of living and travel and eating out and leisure and hospitality and so on and so on. And I wanted to make this video just for addressing this particular situation. Most of you haven't been in Venezuela yet, and let me explain how the prices work here. Regarding, of course, like I mentioned, cost of living and leisure and hospitality and so on. Venezuela is not a dirt cheap country. I have mentioned this many times all over again. I'm going to keep repeating this yet again, and I have to do it in order to paint the picture. Now, that doesn't mean Venezuela is prohibitive, expensive, like Switzerland or Monte Carlo or place like that, or in Hong Kong, those places. It's slightly over what you might expect regarding cost of living and leisure and hospitality and so on, compared to other places in Latin America that you expect, oh, Venezuela is a poor country and so on, and you expect a deal, a bargain here, and that is not going to happen. Now, the prices are manageable in the country if you know what you're doing. I always tell you that. So if you make a plan, you make a cost structure and so on, depending, of course, on your standards of living, you can actually get good deals, good prices, because some things are expensive for your expectations, but some things are actually cheaper. And that's how you have to manage this. But most people come unprepared to Venezuela. They don't know what to expect. The people, of course, the people who are not my clients, and they just come, just wing it, and they just book random hotels, they go to random restaurants, and so on and so on and so on. So they are not prepared for the prices, and they always get an unpleasant surprise. The first thing that I have to explain, those prices are not gringo prices. In case you don't know what a gringo price is this phenomena that occurs in Latin America, but also occurs on less developed economies on Eastern Europe, maybe Southeast Asia, and Africa, and so on. That happens that they sell a particular good or a service, and let's say they have a double marketing strategy, one on the local language, another on English, and they, of course, when they market their service to Western expats and internationals, what happens is that they just put a premium price for the Western, thinking he's richer than the domestic citizen, and we can charge him a premium price. And that happened a lot in Mexico and in Colombia, but also in places like the Philippines, something like that. Never been in the Philippines, so you can correct me if I'm wrong on that particular regard. Well, in Venezuela, it's not going to be the case. You're going to see the price and you're going to think, oh, these guys are charging me premium price because I'm a quote-unquote gringo, I'm an international, I'm a Western. And it's not the case. Actually, it's the price that we receive as Venezuelans. And what happens is that, it's expensive, and yes, it's expensive for us, but happens two things. The first one is that most things in Venezuela are expensive. I'm talking certain things, especially the imported goods that we have. You have to pay a premium for that. And also there is less supply compared to many places in Mexico, Colombia, many of the other countries. We have, instead of having 20 options, we have like 5 or 6. And depending, of course, on the good and particular good, something like of that nature. And of course, less competition, increase the prices because less people are supplying a particular good or a particular service. And of course, you're going to see it's economics 101, supply and demand, something that has a lot of demand and less supply. you're going to see less competition, more prices. Although the competition within companies here in the country is been increasing on the past 5 years, let's say, and we're seeing more better competitive prices, but at the same time that have to be adjusted to the cost structure of the country. And the other thing is that since we had the economic collapse on 2017, that's when the year was awful. There was a lot of scarcity. That's what you saw on the mainstream media. Mainstream media thinks that's still the case, but it's not the case. We have full shapes, the shelves on the supermarkets and so on. You saw the pictures, the empty shelves on grocery markets and so on. Right now, it's quite the opposite. We have fully stacked food shelves and products and medicines and auto parts and toys and clothing and apparel and so on and so on and so on. Now it's quite the opposite. Since most of these products are imported now we have an oversupply regarding, we have products from India, from Turkey, from France, of course, United States, from China, from the Middle East, from Asia. We have products from everywhere now. We have products, you're going to have fun grocery shopping here. We have products from all over the world. Now, the structure in order to get into the country is more complex than in other countries, and is a brand new supply chain that we have restructured for Venezuelan standards. And also we have the external issues, like we had, of course, COVID, that altered the supply chain worldwide. Also the thing on the Suez Canal, remember the ship that created a jam, stopped everything on the Suez Canal. Now we have the thing with the Houthis on Yemen that creating supply chain issues worldwide, so that creates inflation. And Venezuela is very sensitive to those changes because, of course, we have a smaller supply chain. And, of course, we have domestic frictions on the Venezuelan economy regarding bureaucracy and so on that you have to deal with. And also we have less demand that many of these countries. Now, this demand has been steadily increasing, but far from what we used to have, let's say, over a decade ago. And those nuances are creating less efficiency on the supply and commercial side. However, they are being increased. Now the efficiency is being increased year by year. Other thing that you have to take into account is the currency. Venezuela, when you heard of the news that we have hyperinflation, we don't have hyperinflation since 2021. However, the inflation data has been meaningless since 2018, 2019, especially for you, the international, that you don't use the local currency. You're going to use USDs or euros of that or of any other hard currency. That happened since the mid of 2018, we have a de facto dollarization of the country. So the standard in Venezuela is the US dollar. So all of the prices are set on US dollars, and kind of similar like the economy that you see on Panama, Ecuador, and El Salvador, countries that have been legally dollarized. So when you go to groceries or you check on to an hotel or go to the movies or the restaurant or whatever might be the case, everything you're going to spend is going to be priced on dollars. So we don't have this situation with the currency devaluation that you right now are seeing in Argentina. That's why right now Argentina is cheaper for the international, because the Argentinian peso has been dilapidated and it's a very dirt cheap currency. And that happens also in many places in Latin America, like for instance Colombia. Most of you love Colombia you have already been there, and you use Colombia as a proxy. Colombia is way cheaper because they have a very weak currency, the Colombian peso. On a lesser degree, in Mexico, you have seen the same thing until a couple of years. Right now, Mexico is very hot for the digital nomads, and now you have seen appreciation on the Mexican peso. But before that, Mexico was very cheap, not as cheap as most people think, but it was cheap because the Mexican currency at the moment was kind of a weak currency. Lastly, I want to close the video saying that Venezuela can be as cheap or as expensive as you want to make it. Now, I don't recommend, if you have a very, very tiny tight budget, I don't recommend Venezuela. Or you want to go the minimalistic route and be savvy and frugal with your expenses, it can be done making some sacrifices. Now, if your standard of living is from a very prosperous Western individual, you're going to have to pay a premium for that, I have to say. Although I also have to say that any good and service that you want to have access in Venezuela, most likely you're going to have the possibility to have access to such product or service, but you have to take into account that you might have to pay a premium for that. Still, Venezuela, regarding the budget, that's why the price discovery is very difficult here in the country. So if you want to save money on your Venezuelan budget, you have to put a little bit of work and creating the best structure possible regarding cost. Or if you are careless with your budget, you are gonna overspend a lot, and you're gonna have these unpleasant surprises regarding prices within Venezuela.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again, and have a nice day.